think we're rolling. I'm sorry I've been interrupting you, but the last bit that you were at was that moment when you were looking at the sunset. And you were going to tell me about that moment and how you feel about that. So please, go ahead.
I think it's important that the emphasis is not on death, but on the beauty of life. We're all in the process of dying, but it's not the dying to die is not the problem. It's the living in front of the dying that's important. So yes, we are in process. You can't say I am this. I'm an extrovert, or I'm an introvert, or I tend to be depressive.
Yeah.
That's not who you are. You are in the process of being an introvert. Because we're not always introverts. Sometimes we go and we're out extroverts,
yes.
In some situations. So you can't limit yourself. I understand it's normal for human beings to find some point of security and say, this is who I am, so now I know myself. But it's a simplistic way to look at yourself, because you are more than one thing. If somebody tells you, hey, you're an arsehole, you can say, yes, I know I am, but you do know that I'm also a great guy. I'm an arsehole and I'm great. And that's more closer to the truth, because we are not one thing. We are multidimensional.
Yes.
And that's important. And when we say, I want to find myself, or I want to know what do I want, you just don't want the one thing. You want a lot of things, because you have to fit yourself into all the dimensions that you are. And that's the beauty of it.
It is. As a young man, not that you're an old man, but as a young man, please just take me through how you came of, how you found yourself coming of age. When did you feel like you entered manhood? And how do you define that, and where were you? Tell me a little bit about your 20s.
That's a difficult one, because up till I think a few years ago I thought I was still a boy.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Yeah. That's, maybe I should give you the bigger story. I always felt I didn't fit in to society because of this growing up in the veld, in the bush.
Okay.
As a child I would hunt scorpions.
Alright, wow.
But I'm an explorer. So part of me, a fundamental part of me is that I'm an explorer. Okay. Coming out of my childhood experience, because my mother would tell me, hey, go and play outside, and I would go and explore, and she would say, you may go and explore in the bush, but only as far as where you can see the roof of the house.
Okay.
So I would take a long rope and go into the bush until I could see only the top part of the house roof, and then I would tie the rope around the tree and go deeper into the bush.
Wow!
So that I can explore more.
Excellent.
So that was one of the significant moments in my life, and the experience that I can go beyond the boundary that was given to me.
Yes.
And that's been a theme in all my life.
So how old were you when you did that? You were still young?
I think I was 5 years old.
Wow.
5 or 6, yeah.
And exploring, and now you're exploring deeper questions. So please tell me a little bit more about your journey. I noticed that you've been a photographer at a certain time. You've lived overseas. Can you give me some of your highlights when you were doing photography, when you were in Europe?
I think your question, when did I come of age?
Yes, I'd like to, if you could explain.
It was when I stayed in Belgium.
When was that?
Refer to my life as before Belgium and after Belgium.
Okay.
Yeah. It was in 1999 and 1998, those 2 years.
Okay.
So, and there's where I picked up photography as a hobby.
Okay.
Belgium was a beautiful country, beautiful people, beautiful in terms of richness of culture. And like all European countries, it's old. There's a whole lot of stuff that's already sorted out that we in South Africa still need to get to. So in terms of that, I saw a clear picture that I'm not European.
Okay. What did you feel? It was different.
I thought I would feel at home in Europe.
Oh, because of your skin.
Yeah.
You thought, okay, just like the African Americans come to Africa and they claim their home.
Yes.
So you were looking forward for something like that.
You thought that, yes.
And how was it?
No, it didn't work for me. I'm African,
Yeah.
even though I have a white skin.
Yeah.
But it gave me the perspective to see, because there, as in Africa, there's corruption. As in South Africa, there's potholes. As in Africa, there's poverty and wealth. There's just a much more traditionally first world system that we're still in the process of creating.
Yeah.
But it stood in stark contrast where in the whole 2 years that I was there was one murder.
Wow.
And that got the news.
Okay.
When I came to South Africa, the first thing, my sister picked me up at the airport and I asked her, how was she? And the response was, we are still alive.
Yeah.
My brother-in-law was hijacked the previous week. And the aliveness of Africa is what I think is so beautiful. Here, death is real. It doesn't happen in a hospital.
Sure, but
as
then
in Europe, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when you say something like that, it gives me the impression that that's something quite important and that's something that you care about, in the sense that if you are trying to improve people's lives as your work, obviously, you know, you've identified a few problem areas, you know, whether it be maybe the education system, businesses. How are we growing? How are we learning? Can you tell me a little bit more about some of the individual clients that you have, or the businesses, your model? How do you do that? Yeah.
Yes. To link it to my previous comment, we are alive. And to live, you have to do something. Eh?
Yes.
It's important that you live your life.
Yes. And
you live your life to the fullest of your ability. And my small contribution plays out in different areas. So the first important one is that I do life coaching. I assist an individual like yourself to think through their life and to make decisions to make their life better. Yeah. Then I also do business coaching, especially small business coaching. This is where I assist a small business small business owner to improve his business, to grow his business, to get more clients, because without clients no small business can survive. So I help them get more clients, I help them put in systems in place, help them to create the right people systems as well for their businesses. So my ideal client is a business owner operator, because they know their hands are on the business, they know what's going on, and I work with them to make a success of the business. And for me that's quite important in the South African context as well. Corporations and government is not going to save us. They're just going to keep things as they are, which is not all that good. There's a lot of good that's happening. We need to give that perspective as well. The government, the current government, a lot of people have a lot to say about all their failings, but they miss what they do put in the right hand. Thinking in terms of the old government, only had X amount of cars and people had only an amount of X amount of electricity. That has grown exponentially, and they're struggling to do it, but they're doing it. So I do think we should acknowledge that without stopping to criticize them for things they're doing wrong as well. That's the democracy. Yeah. We have to constantly be involved. So one of the things that I'm involved is in the education system. A lot of people say, yes, the education system is going down the drains. Yes. So what? What are you doing to change it? Yeah. It's easy to complain. What are you constructively contributing to make a difference? So what I'm involved with Partners for Possibility, program. It's where we create partnerships between a principal of a school, of an underfunded school, and a business leader.
Oh.
And we take that principal and business leader through a year-long leadership development course, and the outcome is the development of the school. So all the leadership principles that needs to be learned must be applied.
So do you partner up the underfunded school with a business leader so that the leader can use his business a little bit to help fund? Is that the idea for that they help each other out, or
Yes.
how do you choose the partnership?
They fund, but not monetary fund.
Oh, with their leadership
Knowledge
experience, yeah.
and business acumen. And so it's a transfer of skill and transfer of experience.
Okay.
Because let's face it, most principals are teachers.
Yes.
Put it in a position of managerial positions.
Yeah, yeah.
And very little investment is made in their development.
Yes.
They're just expected to run a system where there's 1,000 or less children that needs to be educated.
Yeah.
And then you all have these challenges between the teachers and the
students,
organized labor and the parents and the students and drugs and all those things. There's lots of challenges on that poor person's shoulders.
Great.
So what we do is we bring the business leader that already has a lot of experience in managing people to assist this person, the principal. So it's a constructive way, one school at a time.
Yeah.
We change the education system.
That is brilliant. Congratulations and thank you for that.
Yeah, it's my privilege to be involved in that.